Hi, my name is Sironski-White. I'm a senior at the University of Chicago. I'm a major in anthropology, and I'm a photographer. So we're in my room right now. These are my cameras that I use for assignments, or just for fun, honestly. I like to hang up photographs that I haven't taken because I think that surrounding yourself with images that you've already created kind of reinforces what you already know. And I like to pick out things that are different or that I wouldn't have taken and kind of investigate, you know, how I could take those photos in the future. That's pretty much my space. A typical day in my life, I normally wake up between 7:30 and 8:30. I like to get up, have breakfast, have to have a lot of coffee, and then I'll normally head out and usually go to class or I'll go and work out. I've got an internship with a photographer on the south side, so sometimes I'll go and work with him for a little bit. On days that I have off, I like to go uptown and get some film developed or stay at home and edit some photos. I'll scan in some film, and the best part, absolutely, is I'll go out and take photos when I have the chance. Behind us is the Logan Media Center for the Arts. It was just erected a couple years ago. So my job is as a projectionist for the Film Study Center. What I do essentially is I project films, DVDs, videos, and then when it gets really exciting, some 35mm and some 16mm film. It's honestly a great job. You just get to hang out in the booth, get exposed to a lot of different films. The university is really theoretical, so the film content that you're exposed to is not very normal. Most of the time you're kind of getting into some art films and some really odd stuff, and it's nice to get exposed to all of that.
So yeah, that's 35. How did you start getting involved in photography?
Yeah, so my 9th grade year, when I was in junior high, I went on this cruise. Our family had saved up for a really long time, and we decided to go to a cruise to throughout the Mediterranean, so Italy, Greece, Egypt, Israel, and Turkey. And I took some photos on some crappy little digital camera that I had back then, and I was looking at the photos when I got back home, and I was like, you know, some of these are really cool, but this is when Flickr, which was like a photo sharing service, was really big at the time, and I was like, you know, they're really cool, but they don't look exactly, you know, like the really good photos that I'm seeing online, and I wonder how I can do that. And so I did some research, and my mom came up to me at one point and was like, you know, I really liked photography when I was young as well. You should try that. The brilliant thing about going to the University of Chicago as someone who's trying to get into the creative field is that you're not learning necessarily the technical skills, right? But you're learning how to think critically about the work that you're producing. This is Haskell Hall. We're on the Harbor Quad, and this is the Anthropology building, so I spend a lot of my time here for my major, doing classes and stuff.
So you are an anthropology major. What made you decide to major in anthropology?
I was taking Soch, and you know, all of the professors are really amicable here, and they're all engaged by what you have to say, no matter what it is. And so I was speaking with one of my professors about photography, and she told me, you know, there's this photographer I know, Sebastian Salgado, and he's got a lot of really interesting things to say. And he said, if you're going to study something and you're going to be a photographer, you should study anthropology because it creates within you a curiosity and a willingness to engage with other cultures that isn't laden with kind of preconceptions or prejudices. And I was really interested by that, so I took some anthropology classes, and I really loved it. I really, really enjoyed learning about it.
So tell me about the core.
So the core of the University of Chicago is a core set of classes that every single student has to take, no matter their major. I think Soch and Hume are the most important classes you take as a UChicago student for building your intellectual foundation, for building the way that you think. It causes you to really, really look at your life and the way that you think and the culture you exist in, and to examine it and pick it apart because you're reading all of these authors that did the same things in their lifetimes.
want to tell us about him?
I've known Luke since the first day of college. Luke has been like incredibly important to me as like kind of just like my rock, but he's also incredibly talented and perhaps more than anyone I know, just so deeply passionate about what he wants to do. I love Luke.
Well, thank you.
That's a rousing endorsement.
No complaints.
Zero
at
complaints.
all.
We'll talk about the dishes
Sometimes
later.
Back door.
Okay, so where are we now?
Right now we're sitting in front of the Regenstein Library. I'm sorry to say it is absolutely the social hub of the University of Chicago. Well, I mean, we've got some pretty good cafes in there.
Okay.
We've only got one cafe in there, correction. It's Ex Libris Cafe. Best baristas on campus.
Okay.
And you know, honestly, when you want to go hang out and you're feeling a little lonely at home, you know there's going to be a friend at the X.
So you'd say social life revolves to some extent around the library?
You know, and it does, and that is entirely to do with the fact that everyone is so dedicated to studying here. It shows by how often you see your friends at the library. But there is a lot of variation in study space out there, and you know, you can find a cubicle, you can go down to the B level where there's absolutely no one and it's dead silent, or you can be chatting away in the cafe. But I would say certainly if you're trying to meet some friends and if you're trying to hang out with people, X is a good place to do that.
So what's been most surprising to you about UChicago?
The thing I've learned is that everyone is deeply passionate about something, and they will engage with you if you talk to them about it, and they're kind of prodigiously knowledgeable about something, anything. You know, I went to a sushi once and I just saw this huge group of really, really big dudes talking, and I thought they were fighting for a little bit, and then you realize they're not fighting about it's basketball or whatever. They're fighting about quantum physics, and they're trying to figure out these quantum physics equations together, and it's just, I don't know, there's something really beautiful about having this kind of intellectual hum surrounding everything.
And what advice would you give to a high schooler applying to a school like UChicago?
Number one, it's going to be a gamble, right? There's so many people and there's so few spots that if you don't get in, it's not because of some kind of deficiency in yourself. It's because that's just, you know, the odds are never great. So if you are fortunate enough to get in, I think one of the reasons that you were fortunate enough probably is that you stayed true to yourself. And by that I mean you're gonna get a random essay question, right? You should write about what you care about. Don't try and pad your application with, you know, all your volunteer work and all of the traveling that you did. Talk about what you're really invested in. It shows in every student here. Everyone is really invested in something, and you should talk about that because I think that's what the university looks for. For instance, I didn't know I was going to get into photography, but it's what I really cared about when I applied. So my essay was about the way that I edit my photos and the way that I color correct and crop and frame and whatever. And I wrote about what I cared about, and I managed to get in somehow. So I think if you do the same thing, you'll be in a good place. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe and check out more.